Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Alternative Cycling Network, where we give you hot takes on the bike industry. I'm Russ, one of your hosts, and that very special countdown image was brought to you by Drew Felix. I don't know if it's going to be a thing, but very apropos for this group. I'm Russ, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts here. We got Mike from Locked In, Zach Ayar from Zach Ayar, and Eric from Spin That Mobile Incorporated.
Yeah, new startup.
LLC. Yeah.
So, Eric, what do you think of that? The new timer? You're digging it?
No, I hate it. I'm gonna not be able to sleep. Probably puke shortly after this live stream. Just thinking about it.
I saw. No, I was gonna say we if we all lived in the same area, that would be our punk band name.
Right.
We'd be the Babyheads. Like that would be it. We would tour. We'd be.
The music don't play.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So today's video, actually, let's for today's video, we're going to talk about our morning routines. This is kind of inspired by Eric's latest video, and then we will move on to the topic of epic bike failures. But before we do that, let's do a quick catch up on everyone's channel. Zach, let's start with you first. What's been going on Zach Gallardo?
Well, since the topic of this week is bike fails, I took a nap for too long and I didn't get anything done today. And now I'm just chilling and having some wine.
That's a win. That's a bike win.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mike, what's been going on Locked In?
I did a review for the Trans X anti-shock stem, which is like another brand that offered another suspension stem that at a lower price point than the Redshift stem. I also did part 2 of my gravel bike for roadies build series that I started, where I revealed the frame and the paint job that I came out with. And then yesterday I posted part 7 of my gravel bike into a 90s mountain bike series, where I put the new Richie Coyote bar, I think that's how you pronounce it, on there, and that thing's awesome. And I'm just I'm an alt bar fanboy now, alt bar elitist. Screw straight bars. My wrists are hell yeah to the alt bar nation. That's what's going on there.
Nice. And
then I have a video tomorrow that's posting about my full setup breakdown and everything I'm bringing for my SF to LA trip. So that'll be posting tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time.
Cool. Sweet. So what's I'm curious about the stem you tested. Did you like it? Was it par, better, worse than the Redshift?
Yeah, so it's definitely different. And if you watch the video, it's I don't know, because I'm not good with I realistically did algebra 2 in high school. So I don't know what 2 degrees of deflection equates to in millimeters. That's what my brain understands. Right. And so I understand that every stem length is going to be different. So in the 100 mil, which is what I tested the most, it felt like a not active component. Like the Redshift stem, you're very aware of it when you hit stuff. This is more just a dampening. I called it numbing sensation in the video. Right. So it's about minus their pro stem, because I just got one of those in to weigh between, but the standard stem and that one, it's about half the weight. It's 190 grams, I think, for 100 mil. So I think it's for someone who just wants to kind of take the edge off. I equate it to what it feels like to have a good carbon bar equivalent, where it's just you hit something hard and you're like, oh, that doesn't hurt as bad. My wrists don't ache now. That's just kind of what it does, but it's not active feeling. And the one thing with the Redshift that I noticed during gravel or more intense terrain, you get that a little bit of lag in the stem because you literally can move the elastomer yourself. This is more direct feeling, because it's essentially a cone in the steer tube that pivots. And
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very different. It's a very different take. But it's not as cushy. I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Eric, what's been going on at Spindat Mobile Inc?
Well,
You have an unlimited plan now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's 5 gigs a month. So I shot a video that was like a very, very up close view of what my mind is like to shoot a video from like the start of my day kind of to the end, explaining like how much of a scatterbrain I am. And then I kind of spent the rest of the week creating a video that I've sort of been flirting with for almost 2 years, but like never really dove into it. And yesterday I was like, I'm shooting this, it's like a written script, lots of B-roll, me sitting in one spot type video. And I think it's going to be like a long series to come. I doubt I'll do it weekly, monthly, maybe. I don't know yet. It's a lot of effort.
Yearly, probably.
Yeah. I hope not yearly. I started researching and writing another one today, just based on being excited about it. Hopefully that flame doesn't go out, and like literally tomorrow I'm like, ooh, something else.
Nice. Yeah, some of my favorite channels do like a lot of history of things, like even like silly things like history of video games or a particular video game, like how Street Fighter has evolved or Mario Brothers and all that stuff. It's
like the type of thing that I think anybody who maybe you might not even be into that thing, and then like you're watching history videos, and then like boom, a history video of a bike comes up. It's my face, but you're like, well, I'm like I call it meme mode. When I'm in meme mode, and I'll actually laugh at memes. Like you might be in history mode, and then boom, you're not even into bikes, and you're watching the Spindat video. Gotcha.
Bam, switcheroo.
That's what I want.
Nice. Well, in Path Less Pedaled, we had to hit a milestone. We ticked over 100K. To the live stream.
Yeah.
And when you guys get there, like the daily loads of money that Google just drops off at your front door, it's legit. It's not legit.
It's illegitimate.
Yeah.
I think like the biggest thing that's changed has actually been more of just like an internal thing. Like I feel like I have this monkey off my back about trying to hit a marker for so long that now I feel a little bit more freedom in just creating the goofy vids that I want to do again.
Right.
So, what else did we do? It wasn't an unboxing, but kind of a preview of the Kona Sutra ULTD. Kind of a bike that's on the monster cross end of the gravel bike spectrum. And yeah, that was it. So cool. Well, today's topic is actually inspired by Eric's, not his last video, but the last video where he goes into his bike YouTuber morning routine. So I thought it'd be kind of goofy fun since we were all doing this, full-time ish, what it's like. And then we'll jump into the topic of epic bike fails. So who wants to go first here?
Well, I made a video about it. So
but for the people who may not have watched, you can summarize.
Right. So okay.
Sorry.
I'll go first.
There it is.
It's totally fine. I just lately I've been trying to set an alarm for like 7 a.m. The earlier I can get up, the better, because it's cold and I shoot most stuff in the shed. There's no heat on in the shed, so I'll go like turn that on, deal with some like businessy stuff in the morning, and then go in to the shed again around like 9ish. So that's like 2 hours where it's heating up, and then I'll like set up the skate ramps and I'll start skateboarding a little bit to get myself warmed up, and then at least that way the shed's a little warmer, I'm warmer, and you can basically do an 8-hour day in there. And then I'll die of cold.
I can relate to that not dying of cold thing.
Yeah. The biggest advantage is yourself being warmer, because that'll last longer than like just walking into a 10 degrees Celsius shed, but it'll get up to like 20 degrees in there after a day, or like a day in there. Enough that you can be in a t-shirt. And then everything generally from there falls off the rails. Like any idea I had, anything literally like I feel, and I said in that video, I was like, I feel the most, productive. I feel like I'm getting the most done in that time before I actually have to work. And it's because like I have it in my head, like I have all these ideas in my head, and then it's like, okay, now you need to make it. And like I instantly hit a wall of like, whatever idea you have, Eric, it's going to turn out like garbage. Don't even bother. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll try something else. And then I'll have like that internal battle with myself where it's like, you suck, or this video you haven't made is going to be so good that it's going to like propel you. And then I'll just get excited about that idea and like basically pump myself up so much that I feel like I just need I either need a break or like, well, why would I don't even need to do that today.
Right, it's already
because
done.
I'm going to be so successful that it could be whatever. And then I like many times have I wasted time just thinking about like, man, this video is just going to skyrocket. Like, what will I do with all the money? And then it's like 2:00, and I'm like, son of
a. Well, feeling productive is almost as important as being productive. So
yeah,
right.
I think it's mostly like I think when I was working in an office, like I dreamed of like, I want to just be able to do whatever I want. And like now I can, and I do. Like that's my morning, is like literally doing whatever I want. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, this is my job. I'm doing whatever I want. That's my job. And then the cruel reality of like, well, no, you need to show people what you're doing.
Right.
That's your job. And I'm like, oh, right. This is hard.
So Zach, day drinking, is that part of the morning routine? Or
it actually is, yeah, because when I day drink as opposed to drinking in the evening, I sleep better, and I wake up at 5 a.m. almost every day, and so the quality of sleep that I get is very important to me. So I strategize my day to give me a good quality sleep. So I drink in the day.
It's smart.
Paradigm shift.
Yeah, that's it.
Zach, after you wake up nice and rested at 5 a.m., how does your bike YouTuber morning routine unfold?
I usually have about an hour where I'm just doing nothing in the morning. It's me time. Just like to spend time and do whatever I want to do. Sometimes I read a book. Sometimes I'll just like work out, or sometimes just lie in bed and do nothing. And that's great. I like scheduling that time to just do nothing.
Mission accomplished.
And then after that, what do I do? I usually start working at 7:30, and I have most of my online calls that I schedule in the morning, like at around that time, because I'm talking to people from like Asia, and that's just like a small window where things line up and we can talk. Yeah. And then usually I sit down and I'll outline a video for like 2 hours, which is usually just staring at my notebook for 2 hours. And then I'll have lunch around 11. I'm sure these times aren't making sense, but that's what happens. And then after lunch, I'll take a nap. I try to have it for 20 minutes. Sometimes it ends up being 3 hours, and in those cases, my day just gets completely derailed. And this happens about like 50% of days. And I'll just do nothing for the rest of the day because I'll just feel tired and I don't even know what day it is. But if I have a successful day, usually I'll shoot the video and then edit it that same day entirely. Yeah.
Right.
How far out do you plan? How far out do you plan videos?
At the beginning of each month, I'll plan my topic. I'll have the titles for each video in my Google Calendar.
Cool. Nice.
And then I day drink. at 3:30.
How about you, Mike? What's your bike YouTuber morning routine like?
So ever since doing this full time, it was a thing I've done where, I set my alarm for 7:00 just so that if I ever did go back to normal life, I'd kind of be used to waking up at that point. I have a safety alarm as well, just in case I snooze that one too many times or turn it off on accident. Usually, I'm in bed for at least 30 minutes to an hour. Typically, that's when I'll scroll YouTube, watch like any of my subscriptions of anybody. Usually Eric's video, if it's posted, it's up in the morning. I'm comfortable in bed, just been like, watching that and whatever else is on. Then I usually get up and figure out if it's I try to dedicate my days into shooting or editing days. Just to break up monotony of doing both. There's some days where I do both. Like today I was on a rampage, or no, yesterday I shot 2 videos and edited 3. Cause my trip that's coming up, I'm trying to have content that's scheduled and done for the week that I'm riding. And then the following Monday, because I'm probably going to be dead. So I'm trying to work extra right now, more so than usual. So doing that. And then today I've been trying to find a new format to shoot content inside my place. So there's some days where I just tinker, but in my own way of just how will this look? And what do I need to change? My place was demolished to shoot this one video that's going to be up in 2 weeks, but it was just to see, can I do it? Because it was physically impossible to film outside today because it was 70-mile-an-hour winds for whatever reason, which is super rare in California, but it was insane. And I was like, okay, well, I can't shoot this basic video outside because it's trash cans are flying, stuff like that. I can't do it. So I spent half my day just figuring shit out, basically. Just will this work? How does this look? And then I, downloaded it and then looked at the footage, just okay, this looks good. I sometimes you don't know until you see it in the software and figure it out. So usually my days kind of consist of either playing with a setup, shooting, editing, and then I do try to take some time off or go enjoy whatever. And then the weekends I've been doing my training rides. So that's where I dedicate a lot of my riding time. So during the week, I'm trying to be productive as possible, during the day.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we've got another friend of ACN just popped in. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Hey, I'm here. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me again.
We were just talking.
I didn't ruin my reputation. Never get invited back.
We were just talking bike YouTuber morning routines. What do you have a routine that you go through?
Yeah, when I saw that as the subject, I was like, ooh, I can't wait to hear everybody else's morning routine because I'm still trying to work on mine. My morning routine it's a struggle because I'm a bit of a night owl. So this is something that's been in the works for a long time. And I feel like every week I try to reconstruct it to make it better. But somehow my day always seems to be doing a lot of things with the dogs. And then it's 1:00. I don't know what happens. But no, generally I try to, in an ideal day, I get up and I'm moving my body in some way, whether that's just going outside and playing with the dogs a little bit and maybe getting in a little bit of exercises, taking them for a walk. And then trying to do maybe some social media stuff in the morning. Although sometimes I find that kind of throws my day off. I don't know if you guys have that where you just kind of get sucked in a little bit. And then it's where has 2 hours gone?
That's that was Zach's 7:30 and working for 2 hours and now it's 11. I think pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. It's a struggle. It's really a struggle. So I'm thinking now what I'm going to try to do is, because Darren works full time, and so she has to get up considerably earlier than I really have to. And so I was thinking that it would be good to get up with her, the dog for a quick walk, and then just go straight into work mode. And whether that is shooting some video or editing, and then maybe taking the longer break in the afternoon to walk the dogs and do all that stuff, and then maybe jump on some media to kind of break day and I've at least accomplished something before noon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's typical. On the weekends, try to get up and out, kind of similar, just get out for a ride. Usually we do a bike ride or like a longer hike or go to the beach or something like that on the weekends, just because the weekdays it's always tough. It's tough to go for an after work ride too because it's so dark now. Do you guys do any night riding? I used to do that, but haven't been recently.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to me. I used to ride at night all the time and like ride in the cold, and now I'm all like,
Got
I did.
Yeah, do I have to?
You know what's funny is like I noticed this just literally like the other day because of the training ride we're doing for this. Like me and my buddy that I'm riding with this for this trip, like on the weekends, like it's been, I know for Russ and Eric this is probably warm, but it's like like low 50s in like when we're getting up and now like because we've done it like every single week because we're just like or like the wind's crazy or whatever, and me and him just look at each other like, hey, we got to do this because like it's gonna be the same in like a week, so we got to like get used to it. And then the other day it was like 55 indicated, and we walked outside and I was like, dude, I don't need my base layer for this. Like, what, are we getting hard? Like, is that what's happening? I'm not sure. But I was like, and then he's like, bro, I don't need my warmers on. Like, I was like, this is nice. What are you talking about? And then he's like, are we getting used to it? And I was like, I don't know, but just roll with it. Like, don't talk anymore about it. Let's just be okay. But yeah, that's exactly what. And then like the night rides are just like mandatory sometimes of just like, hey, we're trying to get back into like shape enough to not be stuck somewhere in the middle of California because we can't physically ride back. So that's like, it's that. But
oh my God.
You know what's funny is it's honestly it just depends what kind of riding you want to do, because luckily the last few videos I've done with like Olight and Magic Shine, they've sent me some crazy lights that now make night trail riding possible, which I've never had as an option. But you ride with like a
those are fun. That is fun. Fun.
You ride with a 4,500 lumen light, and you're just like, hell yeah, why not? Like I can see everything. This is great.
I know, it's like completely lit. Yeah.
Like
when I worked at the bike shop, they would do night rides, and I think I would have never considered that otherwise. And that was actually the first time I went mountain biking. They're like, oh, let's go, like, come for the shop ride. Okay, great. When is it? Oh, like after work in the dark. I was like, okay, this seems unsafe, but all right. And they're like, no, we'll hook you up. Like, it's going to be so bright on trail. And it was. I mean, it was still terrifying. So I was like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
This trail is still dark. But yeah, kind of more adventurous. I would like to.
He lost Brian.
Everybody, there you go.
Pour one out.
Pour one out for the homies. We finally lost somebody on this the end.
Yeah. So when we, she's trying to get back in.
There it is.
I'm back.
Hey.
You've now joined our drinking game officially. Yes.
Nice.
Just mid-sentence. The internet where I'm at my parents' house, and the internet is terrible here. And someone just sent me a text message, and I think the internet was like too much to handle.
too much data. Well, apparently you're not on SpinDat Mobile because that gets you a solid 5 gigs.
Tell me, it'll hook you right up.
There you go. You can get on the ground floor if you donate today. No big deal.
You're still using an iPhone?
Yeah.
Nice.
Get on the ground floor. He also takes Bitcoin and whatever else is current. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. So for wrap up with my
but I
morning
did make sure to
routine.
be. I'm by the exercycle. I got something.
Oh,
like
well, yeah.
Or is that different? Oops.
Well, we'll never know.
No, I don't have the same. It's a Schwinn. It's a Schwinn exercise bike my mom uses.
Where are the wheels?
Can it do Zwift, or is it like self-contained?
They're inside.
And-
Should I like? Let's see.
But I think, but you know what you know what it does really well. It you can, if you put clothes over it, it helps hold them up, in the air, and that's what's really good at.
This like monitors your heart rate.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, yeah.
High tech shit.
Nice.
All right.
Cool.
Right. I know.
So I'll wrap up really quickly, then we'll move on to epic bike failures.
Talk about the morning routine.
at half less pedaled. Get up, coffee, look at the internets for maybe about half an hour and try to answer questions and comments as quickly as I can in that first 30, 45 minutes. Then I'll actually, during the winter, I'll go out for a run. So I ran this morning and it was like 20 degrees, icy as heck. And then get back, shower, cook breakfast.
You hear that, Michael?
I think he didn't mean shower. It meant thaw. I think that's what he was going for. But yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then I'll typically do any script writing for a video that I shoot later that day before 11. That's when I feel like mentally I'm the most productive, and then try to film the video around 2 before I get like super sleepy in the afternoon, and then edit. I can edit really quickly. I've got some wacky hacks to edit fast, and then that's it. It's not very exciting. I don't do the day drinking like Zach does, although I may have to incorporate that.
That's how you're so productive, though, man. That's like dialed.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about
everybody. All right. Here we go. There it is.
I'll take one.
Eric's like, I'm just glad it's not me anymore.
I'm like,
that's right. The torch has been passed. It's beautiful. I love it. I think it's great.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk epic bike fails. What's a ride that you've done and maybe you bit off a little bit more than you could chew, or where something just went sideways unexpectedly? Mike, we'll start with you.
I literally have a 2-part video of this because it was so bad. It's the LA tourist ride, which it's basically what it was originally pre-COVID, was essentially like a gravel alley cat race. Think of it like that. So there was just latitude and longitude points. I believe there was 4 or 5 for this race, and you just had to get there. Didn't matter what trail you took, whatever. And it was mainly in LA, which is outside of the area I live. And I don't go to LA often. And me and my buddy Mario, who I'm doing the SF trip with, we're just like, okay, well, we'll spend like 2 days prior to the race. He was like, hey, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I guess. So we spent like 3-4 hours trying to figure out how to get there. And we just used, Map My Ride and Google Maps to just figure out like, oh, what's the fastest way to do this? Like, we don't want to do it like, the long distance way and blah, blah, blah. And okay, well, what's the ratio of climbing to mileage? And then we did it, and it was the worst route, we found out afterwards. It took us, I want to say 10 hours riding time. And I think it was like 12 or 14 elapsed, because there was some trails we took that were hiking only, that were so narrow and were so literally 20% plus for miles, where I'm Supermaning the bike in front of me in trying to I can barely walk this trail. There's cars that 50 years ago fell off the mountain road that we're on, that were in the ditch that were next to us. It was nuts. And we were just we did it. I filmed part of it, and it's just me being the most disheveled I've ever been on camera. I'm just and I told him multiple times, dude, I don't think this is going to be possible. We're 20 miles in and 8,000 feet of climbing. I don't know what it was. It was something dumb. And then we got to the top. It was snowing, whatever. And then we're trying to get back, and we didn't bring lights because we didn't think it was going to take us 10 hours of whatever riding time. And every checkpoint you have to grab a little page out of a book that corresponds with your number. And we finally finish. And we get to the park that it's supposed to be at for the end party, but we got there so late, everybody had left because the park had closed. and then the best part was, so after that, there was one road to get directly back to the main road to get to Golden Saddle. And it was pitch black and a mountain road. And I'm like, dude, this is not safe for us. We have no lights on our bikes. There's no way we're going to ride that and not get hit. So called an Uber XL, told the dude, I'm like, hey man, we have 2 bikes. I will take them apart I swear to God, I got X amount of cash on me as a tip. Like, I'll physically hand you as a thank you because like they don't like doing bikes a lot of times.
Mhm.
And I was like, listen, you're saving 2 lives today if you do this. Like, they took us, we get back, and literally there was like the owner and I think one of his mechanics was still there at Golden Saddle because they're like only 40% finished, but everybody eventually showed up at the park minus a couple of people, and we were one of the couple of people, and we're just like walking there, just like all just wrecked, and they were just like, okay, go to the bathroom, change. Here's a beer. Like, how was it? And I was like, we did it, bro. It was 10 p.m. by the time we got back to the park, and it closed at 6. But fuck it, we made it. Like, and so that was like, I was hysterical near the end. Like, we were getting back, I'm like, haha, like whatever, pitch black streets, whatever, riding through the city, just like, I have no idea what's going on. And I have like a video. It did terribly, but like I earned that video the most that I've ever done, like another ride, and it's oof, it was bad. And like everybody after was like, oh no, you rode the hiking trail, which is difficult to hike, let alone ride. And I was like, no, it was impossible. We hiked for like 9 miles out of whatever it was that day or something like that. Crazy. It was dumb. It was really dumb.
What road did the Uber pick you up on? Do you remember?
It was by some park, like 4 miles from Hollywood Boulevard. Okay. But it was like some like offshoot road to get out there, or it was like we could take the road back to Hollywood, but it would have been like, and we were dusted at this point, no food, done with water. It's pitch black. And it would have been like I think it was a 10-mile detour out of the wrong direction. And then going back on Hollywood Boulevard to get to Golden Saddle. It was something like, it was a 25 or 20-mile stint, I believe, roughly at that point, where I was just like, nope, I am physically inept to move at this point. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Let's see. So Ryan's been bumping in and out. We'll see how long the Wi-Fi holds. We'll try one more time.
Nobody text her. Nobody Instagram or DM her on Instagram.
It's like, nobody text me. I've got like 2 options. It's dial up, basic. Yeah, I think it is dial up. It's so bad. Or just the worst service ever. Sorry. Okay.
I missed that tone. So if it turns, there it is. All right, everybody else. All right, everybody else. Here's everybody. This is gonna be like the most lit like live stream I think we're gonna have, thanks to her. But it's fine.
Yeah. So Zach, how about you? What's a ride where you've kind of overextended yourself or something went dramatically sideways?
Yeah. So the best/worst ride I ever did was my first century, and that's an American century of 100 miles.
Not the kilometer stuff.
Yeah. And that, of course, I did fixed gear, and
that's bonus. That's bonus. It is hard.
And I was a wee freshman in university at San Diego State. And I was riding from San Diego State to UC Irvine to visit a couple friends. And what I didn't know is that the entire way going north up the coast of California, it's a headwind.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
it
absolutely is.
Don't see that.
Yeah. And so up until like, I was just chilling, but up until like mile probably like 50 is when it started getting real, and I thought that I should just like turn around and ride the tailwind back to San Diego. And that because I just passed through Camp Pendleton, if you're familiar with the area, and you're supposed to get onto a bike trail that goes all along the coast, and it's super pretty, and but on that day that I was riding to Irvine, for the entrance of that bike trail, they put a garbage bag over it and said like, and there was a sign next to it that said like, cyclists, the bike trail is closed, take I-5 detour. So for about 12 miles, instead of riding on the super pretty, nicely paved bike trail, I was riding next to semi trucks on I-5, which is
the best.
like, and they were just like, they were passing me at 60 miles an hour, and I kid you not, like the gust from the trucks passing me was actually like was almost blowing me off of the road, and it was actually just easier to ride not on the shoulder of I-5, but instead just in the gravel next to I-5, just because I didn't want to die.
Right.
And
it
then,
must have been the direction you were going, because usually when you go the other way on I-5, it blows you where you're doing like 20 plus miles an hour.
yeah,
and like,
I was trudging at like 12 miles an hour.
Okay,
it was
so yeah,
rough.
that was yeah.
Yeah, and when I got to Laguna Beach, that's about mile 80. I completely ran out of food because before the ride, I just used my university meal plan and just bought a ton of sandwiches, but I ate them all completely. And at mile 80 at Laguna Beach, I just completely bonked. And those last 20 miles were as hard as the first 80 miles. Yeah.
Yep.
And like every pedal stroke was just like my legs were cramping. Every block I had to just get off my bike and stretch my thighs. And biking through Laguna Beach sucks because there's
it's
like,
the worst.
It's just like 2 lanes going each direction, and there's no bike lane. And I was there at rush hour, so the entire time that I was just like cramping and just trying to get up these hills on a fixed gear, everyone's just honking and yelling at me out their windows. Yeah. And I just sat down at the beach and I was just like, I need to just take an hour and breathe. like this is not working. And I called up my friend. I was like, I'm gonna be late. I don't know how late. Just stay up. Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty much. But then after dealing with those last 20 miles for like, I don't know, 4 hours or something, 5 hours, like I was so excited that when I got to UC Irvine, I checked my Strava and said 99 miles. I was like, well, this isn't going to be a century. So I had to take the slowest victory lap around the campus just to make it 100 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic. You want to hear? I'll share like a really quick Camp Pendleton story. I rode from Long Beach to San Diego for a bike show. I forget what it was called. It was like the San Diego Bike Expo or something. Doesn't exist anymore. And I had a big cargo bike that I was riding to the show to set up at the booth of one of the builders. After the show, or at some point during the show, I got a fever. So then I had to bike back from San Diego to back to Long Beach, kind of going that route that you took, Zach, and it was navigating through Pendleton, but I was kind of not seeing straight just because I was feverish and just wanted to get it over with. I was trying to make a campsite on the other end of Pendleton, and somehow I missed whatever directional signs that they had for bikes, and next thing I know, I'm like on this road and like shit is exploding around me. Like they're doing like arms fire or something.
Hell yeah. Oh my god.
This Jeep like pulls up. It's like, you can't be here. It's like I have a big ass cargo bike that says eco-friendly bicycling photographer, and they're like, man, they're just looking for an excuse to blow some shit up.
Yeah. He's like, sir, are you target practice? Nope, you can't be here then. Thank you.
Work.
Please leave.
Yeah. So then I managed to navigate back and avoided I-5, but that was my Pendleton experience.
Yeah, Pendleton's the worst. Like I now skip it regardless and do the 5 if I'm going from like my house to San Diego, because it's a lot more.
I thought they shut it for a while.
I don't know if it's open now, but like ever since I had to do one ride when it was closed, and so we just blasted through, and then found out that it was way faster. Like it was only a mile or 3 or 4 less, I think, overall, but the climbing was cut out, and it was, if you get into a good rhythm and the wind's not in your favor, you can fly on that and just like cruise because you are climbing, but because of the wind pushing you basically as a tailwind because of the cars, it's fine. And I don't know what the shoulder's like on the other side going the other direction, but on that one, it's pretty wide to where like I've never had super like felt like I got blown over, but I also was never like having like heavy laden with bags or anything that would have a lot more wind resistance. And so I'm not sure how that would feel going the other direction, but yeah, I avoid Pendleton at all costs now. Whenever I go to San Diego, I just plow through and just do the 5.
Brian, do you know if that's still open to the cyclists or have they shut Pendleton? That's kind of your region, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's closed right now.
Yeah.
It's too bad that it's not. It's so frustrating because this is like so close to where we live, and it would just be such a nice connection all the way down the coast. And there's so much space. It's like, can't we just put a bike path here?
No.
No. Just
if anyone wants to see it, like I do have a Century video of like from Orange County to San Diego, and you can see like I make a point of like, hey, we're going on the freeway because it looks rad when you're like getting on the on ramp because you're every single time like I've passed the toll road by my house, I'm like, that'd be a great video, just like us turning off, trying to go as fast as we can. But it's a cool experience the first time. It's really cool when you're like merging with the car and like you just see the people like looking at you like, the hell are you doing? I'm like, it's legal. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Great.
Bicycle rides.
Yeah. 3 feet. 3 feet. Yeah.
Bicycle rides. Everything's the bike lane.
Yeah.
Let's see. Eric, how about you? What's been a epic ride bike failure?
The worst, decision. I knew it was a bad decision. Everybody who I was telling I was going to do it knew it was a bad decision. But like, I think I liked that. So I was like, well, obviously I'm going to do it anyway. And it was like, I was just getting into, I talked about this before. There was a post on the Radivist about 3 like super expensive road bikes that were set up with like top tube bags, like a seat bag, they were brevet bikes. I think John was in like, he was somewhere to shoot a brevet, and it was just like fast bikes that people were trying to like, race over a long period and camp. And I was like, I want to do that. So I used to work 6 days a week at the bike shop, and Saturday the shop would close at like 4, I think 4 or 5. And I was like, I'm going to ride across Nova Scotia to get, Angela was at her parents' house in Amherst. So it's a 220 kilometer ride based on what my like Google's bike route said. So that's like 130 miles, I think.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I was like, I'll do that. So, you take your road bike, you put time trial bars on it, you put some bags, and then you get on that bike and you ride it. Like I ride to where Angela's at. So it's that easy. I'll bring candy and stuff. It'll be no problem.
Plenty of Haribo's, gummy bears. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, like I'm cheap. I think that's obvious. I'm very cheap. I
know.
I got a phone plan last year. Like I didn't have a phone. So like I had no data or anything. And I was like, well, the GPSs on phones are GPSs. They don't use data. They only use data to create the picture. So if I load the picture first and just it doesn't go away, I'll be all right. And like I'm telling people this, and they're like, Eric, you're gonna leave at 5 p.m. and you're gonna try and ride 220 kilometers, and like it's gonna be dark. And I was like, yeah, it'll be whatever. Like I've never done this, but like I have this GPS, it'll be fine. So anyway, I started the ride. I went and got lots and lots of candy. Like I had made my bags. I had sewn my bags, and I was like, I built something huge for the top tube, and there's just like wild amounts of candy, and I would just I brought a tent. I was like, I'm not gonna probably make it, so I'll bring a tent. And it was like, I just knew I wanted to stuff something in the seat bag because otherwise it would just be flopping around. So I was like, well, I have to bring a tent. And then, yeah, I started TT position. I was riding at a TT pace as long as I could. So like, fast, definitely hurting my legs, but making like good pace. It was like 2 hours in, maybe 2.5. I had made it to about Truro. So that was quick. I was like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it in 5 hours. I'm gonna be done because I'm at like 80, 90K already. It's been 2.5 hours, maybe closer to 3. And then I'm just like, okay, like I'm good. Like I'm gonna get there with daylight. And I haven't had to look at my phone for GPS or anything yet, because I was scared to open it because. Well, you know how iPhones can be. Sometimes they'll just be like, time to think about this for a second. And I was like, well, I can't lose it. Like I can't lose the track because I'm going to get somewhere where I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to need to make some turns. So it can't, like the phone can't die, and I can't lose the route, because if I lose the route, I'm screwed.
And you're like 3-4 hours in. Like,
yeah, there's no, okay. I'm not turning back at this point.
Right. And so that would, how many out of how many K were you like in at that point when you like had to make that decision?
So I would have been about 100. So almost halfway.
Okay.
Like I think to Truro, like the way I had taken was like 85, 90-ish, So like, of course I'm thinking halfway, but I still have like, don't forget there's another 30 kilometers to your halfway that you need to consider, which I did not consider. And I'm still stuck in that right now. I was halfway and I was not halfway.
Practically there.
Almost there.
Yeah.
So I got, I hadn't turned my light on yet. I hadn't had to turn any lights on yet. And I got to, there were some turns that definitely I wouldn't have known in the town of Truro. And it put me on a road that I was familiar with because my friend Drew, his parents lived on it. We always rode his ramp. So it's like, oh, I'm on Drew's road. Okay. Which is like, it's not a road. It's like the middle of nowhere. They have a barn that a ramp is in. So like, it's not a road.
Right.
It's an actual county way of getting around. I'm like, okay. So I'm on there and I'm running. I'm like, now at this point I am lost, but not lost because I have a thing. So it's like, okay, turn right, good. And I get to the Wentworth Valley. It's getting dark. It's starting to get dark. So I'm like, well, I would expect that I would have taken a right here, but like it's telling me to go straight, and I can't like go away from what it tells me, because if I do, you're on your own. Like I don't know.
My data will not recalculate the route, and
there's no data. There's no recalculating. And I'm like, okay, I'll go straight. I'll trust it. And it's a climb. It's because I'm at the bottom of the valley, and now I'm climbing to the part of the top, but I am climbing. And it's starting to get dark, and I'm holding off turning my lights on because now I'm like starting to worry a little bit because I'm like, maybe all of this was a bad idea. And then I'm still in relatively good cheer, but I was getting the beginnings of hysterical, like a little bit nervous, because it was like, I can't even call anybody. Like if I get hit, like no one, and thoughts like that definitely start going through your head. But I'm still on asphalt. And then there's this, like, it says, like, turn right here. And I'm like, God, I don't like turning, but okay. Turn right.
Does that waste data? You turn right.
like pedaling. And I just feel like clunk, clunk. And then it's like that, like, very notable, like, you're on gravel noise. And I'm like, fuck. Okay, I didn't, because I was on a road bike. Like, I wasn't on a gravel bike. I was on a road bike.
Right.
I'm like, oh, man, shit. But I can't. Like, it can't be that long. I'll just keep going. And then I turned the lights on then. But at this point, it was pitch black out, and I, like, so dark out that I didn't know like what the grade was. I didn't know anything. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep pedaling. You know, I still have lots of water. I still have lots of candy. I'll be all right. And I'm pedaling. Candy is what I run on. And I was like, what am I on? Like, am I on? What am I on? So, like, I would stop, like, pedaling a little bit, and I would, like, instantly feel that, like, you're slowing down. And I was like, okay, so I must be climbing, I assume, because, like, it doesn't hurt anymore, because, like, when you can't tell that what's happening and you've got it in a really easy gear, and I don't, like, it's way less painful when you can't see
for sure
anything around you. You're just like, you're just kind of pedaling. And you're like, well, it just feels like you're on an exercise bike. But, like, that feeling of, like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm definitely climbing. That's frustrating. I'll just wait for that to stop. And then it did eventually level out, and I wanted to be done then, but I couldn't, because there was nothing. Turns out I had actually, and I remember seeing some lights from people's houses, and I really did contemplate, like, going and knocking on someone's door, to which I later found out was a good idea. I didn't, because people there were not really crazy about cyclists in any shape or form. But what became, like, super obvious was that I was on gravel and that I was descending in the dark when I wasn't on the brakes. And you're just like, you're like, okay, I can tell that I'm, like, going way too fast, because you can feel your you know, I think I was riding either 25s or 28s, and, like, you could just feel all those hard hits. And I'm like, I can't get a flat. Like, I can't get a flat here. And I eventually did overcome that. I did make a couple wrong turns, and eventually I said, I'm gonna just kind of follow something. I still had the picture of the map of Nova Scotia. If I zoomed in, there'd be no details, so I had to follow the bigger roads. And eventually I gave up. I knew I could make it to Oxford. There's a big sinkhole there right now, but I was like, okay, where can I get to Wi-Fi in the middle of, like, you know, Farmville, Nova Scotia? And I was like, well, there's a Tim Hortons there, and they have free Wi-Fi. So I'll go there, and I'll call Angela, and I'll tell her that A, I'm not dead, but B, come get me. So she came and picked me up at, like, 1 a.m. And I had given up. I actually made a video about this, and I did the ride again during the day. And I think I broke down all the places where it was like, I was hysterical here, and I was hysterical here.
I cried. Like, I watered that plant right there, and then I watered this one over here. And
it was cool. Like, it was really cool to see it in the day. Like, I suffered more on the Ronster Cross with the bigger tires, purely because I could see everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy climb. And then I was like, oh, there's a lake right there. Like, because there was times where I was like, I'm just going to pull over and, like, set up a tent. And I'm like, I could have ended up in water. Like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Like, I could.
If I had an inflatable sleep pad, I could have been fine. It would have been fine. Yeah. It'd been a houseboat. It's all right. Yeah, it's all good.
And I've never been, like, I'm really really bad for not drinking enough water, like, in my day to day, but, like, especially on the bike. And I have never been, like, when I got to Amherst with Angela, I'd never been so hot. Like it was summer, so it was hot out anyway, and it was sticky, but, like, I couldn't do anything other than just be in my underwear, laying on, like, cold hardwood floor to try and like, just cool down a little bit.
That's the worst feeling.
No amount of water, no, like, pure exhaustion. Like I've never been. I wasn't tired like that when I did it again. Oh man, the heat. I just could not believe that I could, and I wasn't like I wouldn't be sweating either. There's nothing to sweat out because I had literally already sweat out.
You were a SpongeBob when he's like when he's in Sandy's place and he's like, Patrick. Like you're just that. Yeah, it would be great.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, I know.
Dehydrated Chris.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah.
Nice. So Ryan, looks like you're on a more stable connection now.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good. I grabbed Darren's phone, so I was like, "This is a better phone. Let's try this one. It's not 6 years old." I think I'm hooked into the Wi-Fi. Let's pray. Come on.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up with you. Like, what's been a ride where you kind of overextended, or like some big bike fail happen?
Yeah, there's been so many moments on tour. Usually when I'm like, let's try this.
Right.
What's this tiny line? Where does this go?
Right.
And that's pretty much what happened when we were in Washington, and we were following going down the Pacific Coast route, and we were mostly following the adventure cycling route. But we're like, we came into a little town. I don't remember what town. I'm terrible with that stuff. Darren would know. And I saw this map, and it had like a little picture with a bicycle trail that looked quite nice. And I was like, oh, there's a bike trail here. Like, cool, we should do that instead of being on the road, because that's always generally better. And she was like, I don't know about this. Like, what is this trail? And I was like, come on, let's go. Like, adventure, you know?
It's fine.
All right, yeah, fine. It'll be fine. I'm like,
Famous last
look
words.
at this photo. It's like paved. We'll be good. It looks so groomed and nice. And so we're like, okay, let's give it a go. And then it was really nice for the first 5 miles, and then maybe even a little longer, enough to like take us far enough that we're like, we can't turn around now.
Yeah.
And it was the Willapa Hills Trail. Do you remember that? And then we got to a map, and there was like portions of it that were like green, yellow, red for different, states that the trail was in, and different states of disrepair, I suppose. So we were in the green section, which was quite lovely. Beautiful bridges that had been recently repaired, and it was nice. It was great. And then suddenly we were in the yellow section. It was a little more challenging. And then the red section came, and it just immediately became like, it was rideable, thank goodness, but it was also spider season. We do have this episode on our blog somewhere, and it was like going across the trail was just webs filled with these giant, I'm sure harmless spiders, but it was still terrifying nonetheless. And I was like, we have to keep going, so we have to kind of like ride through these webs and hope that there's not spiders on us. So like, she's pulled over, and I'm like, stop, there's a spider on you. And I'm like whipping it off with my like click stand pole. It's like the most ridiculous. So just super bumpy. Like, we're not even prepared for this. Of course, we're like loaded down with panniers and everything. And we're still seeing like, okay, like we can still ride it. We're kind of stuck on this. Like, let's just keep going. And then we got to this insanely dangerous bridge that was so dilapidated. And I was like, we kind of have to go over it because it's like too big of a canyon. So let's just hold our breaths and do it and hope that we don't die. And so we're like slowly stepping across, and I felt like I was in some action adventure movie. Yeah. So I'm like putting my foot down, like, is this one going to hold me and my 100 pounds that I'm carrying on my bike? It was terrifying. And yeah, I think I went first. Yeah, and I was just slowly creeping. And then Darren's coming behind me and like, I don't like this. Just get to the other side. We get to the other side, and there's like this tiny stone that was like bridge closed. Yeah. No shit. I'm like, where's the sign on the other side? I mean,
Jesus. So somebody kicked that one off. Yeah, that's great. That's messed up.
Yeah. Just looking at it is like, yeah, you probably shouldn't cross this. And so then I think we got to a part where we could like reconnect with the road a little bit more and get off the trail, but we did most of it. And then I saw some woman's blog, and she had done it on a mountain bike, and she was like, oh yeah, like you have to walk across this bridge, like it's not great, but it's okay. And I was like, what?
It's terrifying.
It was horrible. Like, what? Okay, maybe it's a different season. It wasn't so overgrown and dilapidated. Maybe it's been a few more years. But then we finally got to camp that night, and we talked to another guy who was like, oh, you went... He was from South Korea, also traveling the Pacific Coast. But he's like, oh, you went on that trail? Like, I got on that trail. And he's like, no, terrible. He's like, I went 3 miles and got off and went to the road. It's like, good choice. Good choice. But hey, all part of the adventure and very memorable.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always a point, like I think in every ride where you start to feel it go sideways, and there's this constant evaluation of, should I go forward, or like, like should I do this bridge, or like with you, Eric, it's like, should I trust my instinct, or should I follow what the Google is telling me? And it's just this moment of supreme anxiety.
Yeah.
Am I going to die here?
That's the ultimate question that we're asking in these moments.
Yeah, basically, there was a point in that LA tourist race where I was like, I don't even think I could ride back. We were like 20 miles in. I was like, nope, no, I'm just gonna die here. Like at the beginning of the vlog, I literally said, if anybody's watching this and anyone sees this footage, I am either living or dead in the Los Angeles mountains somewhere. Somewhere. I'm a mountain man at this point. I've watched enough Man versus Wild at this point to like maybe survive for a little while, but like I can only eat so many twigs and know what kind of like poop you can wring out for water. I've seen enough. Like that's it. Like I can only do that for so many days.
Something like
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I did not have enough Haribo's, golden gummy bears to survive.
Candy definitely got us through our
It's actually the there's like the squirt juices that I big fan.
Wait, squirt juices? What the? What is that?
They're called. I don't know. They're in a purple package. Actually, the best thing you can buy is
Gushers. Like what are they
no,
called?
in Canada?
Okay, I was like, what? The squirt juices? I don't
the
know what that is.
Thing that you can buy is a big box of like Welch's fruit snacks.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Those
and
are
just like pile those into like jersey pockets and stuff, and like people will laugh at you, but you will keep those people alive. I think I've said that before here, but I'm telling you want to be laughed at, but be a hero. In other
Bring
words,
the snacks.
You want to be me?
I finally did the like the fry and the top tube bag thing, and I felt real legit. I don't know.
I have not done that.
Like that, we stopped at a Jack in the Box, got a big Coke, and this is a mile like 70 of the 100 that we did that day. Just put the fries in there. It was the best thing. And the best part of that was like when you ride by someone who doesn't ride, like we stopped at Huntington Beach. There was like this huge crossing at Main Street. And I'm just like, I'm disheveled. We're at like 8 mile 80. And my bike's also, fully loaded for this trip. So it's like 40 whatever pounds of crap. Like, and I'm sitting there. There's some dad with his kid. Yeah. And I like pop the top tube and just like put like 4.5 fries in my mouth, and he's like, hell yeah. And I was like, mile 75, and he's like, oh shit. And then his wife like hit him because he cussed in front of his kid, and I was like, this is the best. And then I just like kept going. I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And I was like, 100%, I told Mario, I was like, we're doing this because this is the best thing we could do for like motivation, and just like warm fries at mile 70 always are good. So just
top tube bag / fry oven.
Oh yeah, it's still got salt and probably remnants of there. It's still.
I would think it would be too greasy. Is it not too greasy?
It's fine.
We can't do that here because grizzly bears.
Right?
Oh, they like.
I know.
They like
can get away
fries?
with a lot more.
Yeah,
a lot of way. Yeah, that's true.
No, but that's I still find. I think I've found a fry like last week in there. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Cycling fuel is like basically all your childhood junk food. Desires.
Yeah, for sure.
Pop-Tarts.
Just fruit by the foot all day.
Yeah,
riding with all your friends.
Yeah.
You just need like a little dispenser that you can attach to your handlebar and like.
Oh, if we could 3D print a gravel specific fruit by the foot dispenser roll, I'd be into that.
There's something here.
Or like a bicycle Pez dispenser. Just
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that'd be good. Yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be good.
Can it dispense like little Reese's peanut butter cups? That'd be good.
that would be, we could try.
Just shove them in.
Kickstarter.
It would turn them into Pez because it would be smashed down so aggressively. It would just be like, oh, it's very dense.
Well, I was
It's very
thinking a
dense.
special dispenser.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No.
Nice. Here, fruit by the.
Well, that's
Fruit by the roll
Walmart.
tape. Oh my god!
Yes.
Holy shit!
Eat
All
it
right,
as you're writing.
all right. Best comment of the stream.
There's a video idea right there. Is just taking fruit by the foot and literally wrapping bar tape
Yeah.
and going for a ride and eating it.
I'm pretty sure day 7 of my trip, I would 100% just be like
This is gonna
gnawing on my
happen.
bars. Yeah.
This is
So day 7, geez, I'd be getting it on.
Hour
Yeah. No. I mean, it'd be there just for, because it'd be like preserved.
Okay.
It'd be
It would be
fermented.
like leathery. It would literally
Yeah, no, it'd be fermented, so it'd be good.
It'd be
It'd be good.
good.
Yeah,
Fruit leather.
exactly. It'd be good for your gut health. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to survive. Yeah.
Sour. It's soured
Yeah.
fruit by the foot.
Yeah. It's aged. It's aged. Yeah.
Kimchi.
The salt brine from my forehead just
have some new
just
video
leathered the
topics,
whole
Russ.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
This
God.
is good.
How to attach food to your bike. not using bags.
Yeah, you don't need bags.
No.
Use food carriers.
Sweat on your top tube. A lot of things will stick. It's
Oh, yes.
Pro tip. All right, I think I'm going to take us home here. We've gone over an hour. Where's that hashtag? Off the rails again. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out in the YouTube comments. There's still 130 of you in there. If you like this content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to everyone's channel. Mike from Locked In, Eric from Spindat Mobile Inc., Ryan from Rad Bike Adventures, Zach Gallardo. Yeah, stream went off the rails. Exactly. Join us next week where we'll figure out the topic the morning of once again. And
if it's less than 24 hours before, it's not ACN. And that's a little insight for you guys. There it is.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh.
Yeah. And if you guys want to have your creative ACN image to use for the timer, be sure to tag us on the gram. Maybe we'll make that thing. We'll see if anyone actually does it. But
That's cool. That's a cool idea.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. If
We'll
there's gonna be one week where we're all gonna like try to record ourselves playing some kind of jam so we can have like the Baby Heads theme song done or something. Or if somebody wants to make that, if you're in a band and you want to have a Baby Heads theme song, feel free.
In a band.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Let's start a band.
don't do that.
Don't do
All right. Until next time, everybody, keep bikes weird or something.
that. Or